so much for tuning in. My name is Amudu Salongo Jean Pierre, and this podcast is talking about refugee and forced migration.
Last time we were talking about the turning point of having refugees in Kampala, and today we are going to talk about the root causes of forced migration, with a case study being the DRC. Thank you, and pay attention as we have an interesting engagement with my guests, who are all the members of Rendezvous Youth Group, which is a refugee law project support group residing in Kampala, Uganda. Welcome, and I hope you not move. I'm Congolese by nationality. As you all know, I'm a refugee also here in Uganda. And when you talk about the Democratic Republic of Congo, I want to first make it in form like of a story. I'll say that this is a country which has been facing atrocities. It has been facing wars. It has faced wars from neighboring countries, and sometimes it has faced wars which was caused by people internally against themselves, right? Which you call civil war. So apart from these aggressions, we are talking about external aggressions, is like the Democratic Republic of Congo started having problems, conflicts, even before the independence. Now, if we can see in the stories, we see that even then they used to force people to go and collect cotton, and those ones who failed to give the quantity which was wanted, their hands were chopped. So you can imagine that was already a migrating factor, right? It was a factor which can push someone away. Not so. If you feel like you cannot make it, you feel like, I need to leave this place. Already that was before the independence. And also before the independence, I remember we had kingdoms. We had kingdoms like we talk about the Royaume Kuba. We talk about, there are many kingdoms that were in Congo. Baluba Kati, Baluba Shakati. Now, there are many. And these kingdoms used to attack each other to conquer land and also to conquer subjects, right? Because every king wanted to have very many subjects under him so that he can earn a lot. So it means conflict started long ago in Congo. Now, when we came back to after independence, we saw still conflicts continued, because when we see first the coming of Lumumba, there was first people who were killed. There were very many people who were killed because they were demonstrating they wanted independence, whom we call martyrs. And we know people who demonstrated and they were killed in huge numbers. But also even when Lumumba negotiated and got independence, still himself did not live long. We remember independence was got in 1960, and in 1962 the man was going. So it did not take long. But after that, you remember that there was now another fight that started. Mobutu had to fight with some people. He had to go to Lubumbashi to fight with those ones who tried to do what we call secession Katangese. Those ones who started to rebel and create Katanga to be a new country. We are seeing Laurent Désiré Kabila, who went to the bush and started a struggle because he wanted he thought that Mobutu was not ruling well. We are seeing internal wars of Moleleis and others. Not so. Now we are seeing some countries who could also try to see how they could move the country. And later on we saw the FDL, which was an army of Congolese. They were headed by Kabila, definitely. Laurent Désiré Kabila, who came from Rwanda, supported by Rwanda, Uganda, and others, and they overthrew the government which was there. And since then still, we have not had peace in Congo. We have had wars. We have had rebel groups. We have had the Nemwanda and Semi in Kasai killing a number of people. We have had the Mai Mai, Yakutumba, the Apeseles. We have had the FDLR, who are Rwandan refugees in Congo. They have also killed people. We have had ADF NALU, who are from Uganda. We have had a lot of people. We have had CNDP, which is a rebel group. We have had the RCD. And even if though some negotiations have taken place, but it has not resolved. And even up to now, we have the M23 now trying to fight, and now it is rolling. It has taken over Bunagana. That's the border between Uganda and the DRC. Now, when we look at this, already there are many factors that we can see pushing people away. Because when there are these fights, there are killings, right? There are people who are being killed. So conflict is inevitable. Because now there are people who are saying, no, we are Hunde, and the Tutsi and Hutu who are in CNDP want to kill us. So they start their own rebel group. Like APSLS of Banyanga, then you have many Mai groups. They have so many. Then you find there is Bahutu who say no, the Tutsi want to kill us. Then they start something called Mai Nyatura. You see the Banyamulenge say no, Banyanga want to kill us. They start a rebel group called Twiganeho. All these groups, they are groups that create conflicts, right? And then when they go on ground, we know that they have been raping women already. That is sexual violence. Many people have believed in sexual violence as a tool, a weapon of war. And apart from that, we know that where there is war, people don't go to work as normally, right? People don't go to work as normally. That means famine will be there. So many people, some people also flee from DRC because of hunger. Apart from being forced to leave because of conflicts between two tribes, let's say like it is in Ituri, we have the Lendu and the Hema fighting every day. There are these who are being raped. Also, they are running away because of that, right? And because of that, we have had over 1 million of Congolese who have left the country. And they have gone to neighboring countries majorly, but we have had a big number of more than 400,000 in Uganda as per now. We have had others in Rwanda, some in South Africa, in Angola, in Zambia, in Burundi. So Congolese are almost everywhere as refugees and asylum seekers. But also, not only that, some people also have refused to go far from their home. Some people have refused. They just leave Mushaki, they go to Sake. That is within the same territory. It is Masisi, North Kivu. Some people leave Bunagana, they go to Goma. It's still North Kivu. From Ruchuru to Goma. So they are still within. And this number has been estimated to be over 4 million, 5 million actually. Over 5 million internally displaced persons in the whole Congo. And if we will see, the majority is in the eastern part, where the conflicts are so much. Apart from that, we have also other causes of flight. Some people are personally persecuted by the states. You find that there are people who want to rule for a certain time, like it has been the time of Kabila. He wanted to hang on power. He wanted actually to revise the constitution so he can hang on power. And those who refused, some people were killed. We know people who were killed in demonstrations. We know people like Jean-Luc Lukula of Lucha, who was burnt in the house. Of course, investigations are still on, but we know what was going on. As a human rights activist, something must have happened. He could not just get burned like that in the house. And there are so many. We have people like the Chebea, a human rights activist who was killed, and up to now investigations are on. We don't know what's going on. Some people have been fleeing because of such targeted persecution, not generalized. We have said also famine. So there are many, maybe other causes. So as we see that, DRC does not only send people out, and neither does it only have its own people there within, as I said, around 5 million. It has also people who have fled to there. from different countries, especially neighboring countries. I would say some people from Rwanda, okay, the Republic of Central Africa. Those are some of the people who are there in that country. And those who are registered are beyond 500,000. So they are around 527,000 who have gone to seek asylum in the Congo. Those are those who are known. But we know, as a weak state or a fragile state, when people enter, you don't know how they enter. When there is conflict in South Sudan, these people just enter. Remember, on the borders of these big countries especially, the tribes are across the board. You find like the people who are at the border with South Sudan, they're actually the same tribe. They're even same families. So these people just move from one side to another, and even the other state will not notice that there are people who have come in, right? So we will be maybe not right to say it is only 500,000 that are there. Maybe others are there and they are not known. We know how people came from Rwanda in 1994 when they are fleeing from genocide. They just came and the border was opened. They just entered far in the whole country. So we can't know where those people are. We can't trust them. How do we know the number? I think the number may be even beyond that, right? Yeah, it may be beyond even that. So we can't know how many those people are. So the truth is, there are many reasons as to why people have fled from Congo, as we have said. But maybe you may have other reasons you have that you think people have fled, apart from violence, sexual violence, conflicts. I don't think droughts. In Congo, we don't have that problem with the droughts. Like we say, there is a desertification and such things like that. Not really. It isn't there. It is only of the countries that are still somehow safe, and we need to protect the forest there so that it can also give shelter to the neighbors. But also, we have seen how other countries have sent their people there in asylum. From Rwanda, Burundi, Central Africa, South Sudan, and some other countries that are neighboring it. But we will know that among these IDPs we are talking about in DRC, those 5 million that are internally displaced, about 4 million are only in the 3 provinces of the Eastern Republic of Congo: North Kivu, South Kivu, and Ituri. Only 3 provinces have more than 4 million of internally displaced persons. So you can see how serious this is. I'll want maybe you to ask if there is anything you feel like is not right in what I've just been explaining here. Give your feedback and also ask maybe any question you feel like, or you add any information you feel like should be added.
For me, my question is, I want to know why some people have found or are still finding refugee, if I'm to say, like in DRC, but again the citizens of DRC are seeking refugees in other countries. Why?
Does anyone maybe have something, how you can intervene? What do you think? Yes?
We try. Okay, for me, you see, most times when you're fleeing, you're becoming a refugee, it's because of several reasons. It can be political, religious, family, what. So it depends. Most Congolese, when they flee, especially the ones from the east of Congo, when they flee to seek for refuge, for them it's political. When you find a refugee from Kinshasa fleeing to come for refuge, you find that the reason is it's different, because there are no wars. So you find out that people are running away from their places because of different reasons. It can be political, maybe family, or what. Yeah, so basically that's it.
Yes,
let me also try. For me, I think if I may think about Rwanda, those who flee from Rwanda to Congo, like Rwanda has a camp it has security, and Congo, I don't know if it has camps. Those camps are somehow secured. So if like Congolese are having trouble and then they are running away, those who are in camps feel somehow safe. That's why I may think that there are those who are running to Congo, but they are secured because they are in camp, but those who are out of it, they are somehow not safe.
You have asked about camps in Congo. It is true Congo has camps. However, more than 70% are outside the camps. And only 3% are in urban. So you'll see that it means actually that around 70% is neither somewhere where they can be easily traced. They are mingled in places where it is not urban, it is rural, but not in the camp. So they have mixed with other people. Yeah, and the Congo having also many tribes, actually, I feel like maybe I have a question as, do these people don't they create another insecurity by infiltrating and we cannot identify them? Because the country has more than 400 tribes or ethnicities. How do we know this person now is not a Congolese, maybe from another tribe? That's also, I'm feeling like it can be another problem. Yes, welcome, Shalom.
Now, what I want to respond on this one, some people say one man's meat is another man's poison. So, I may have insecurity here in Uganda, but if I go in Congo, I'm going to have security because the person who is causing insecurity to me here is not the other side. And yet, the other side in Congo, there is someone also who is being persecuted, who is different to someone who is in Uganda. So, that person to come here in Uganda is going to feel secure. And also, even me going there, because, like, for instance, if I go in a place maybe where they are, I was going to use the bad word hunting to the people who are trying to kill the Tutsis, and I go here when I'm in a Choli, definitely I'm going to be secured because they are not after me. But also, if the Tutsi who is the other side come here in northern Uganda, is going to feel secured. So that's the thing.
Maybe to add on that, the reason as to why maybe the Rwandans might seek refuge in Congo, there are also those places where there are no those internal conflicts. Yeah, so they might run, like a Rwandi may come from their country because of some different reasons, like the way she said, and go and seek refuge in that particular area where there are no conflicts, simply because that is where they find the peace. Yeah, that can be also some other reason.
Yeah, mine I want to add is that when you're in your country, of course you're secure, but then when you go to another country as a refugee, there's double security, according to me, the way I get it, because just the UNHCR is the one taking care of you guys, so there's that double security, because anything is to happen to you as a refugee, that country will be like regarded as it's not safe for them. So that country will make sure that refugees who are here, they are safe. So there is double protection. Yeah.
Okay, I needed to add, when I was thinking, when you are fleeing, you don't have any choice. You don't even think twice or on which country you are moving to. Because when I'm in Burundi and then there is war or something, I feel insecure. I may think which is the nearest country I may land to. And the other thing of security, I was remembering refugees who were in our country, Burundi. They were in camp. You see, when you are in camp, you think that you are secured. But I remember that the camp was burnt, and all refugees by Nyamurenga were there, burnt there. So meaning that it doesn't mean that you are secured, but you land to a country saying for security, and you don't have time to think which country I'm going to.
I think my next question will be, so from what you guys were explaining, so being a refugee, does it have to come with personal reason or official reason, like common or general? Because when you are processing the documents for refugee, like identification here in Uganda, like you have to have like the general reason, like most of the Rwandans, they face that issue when they are processing refugee identification. Maybe they are saying there is war or they faced war in Rwanda, and then the people at OPM or other offices, they tell them there is no war in Rwanda, it has ended in 1994 and what. Yet maybe you personally, you were facing something which led to fleeing your country. So being a refugee, like for you, it's like I don't know, the way you're explaining, it's like being a refugee, it has to be personal problem. Yet to UNHCR and other agencies, it is different. Maybe it is general reason which is visible to the world, not something personal.
I don't know if you've ever heard of the story of Assange, the owner of WikiLeaks. This guy is an American, and yet he's a refugee. Can you imagine America having someone who is a refugee? Because what he has done with his website of WikiLeaks, of putting out the secrets of different governments, the America that is portrayed as the god of democracy were hunting him, and then he had to go to UK. Even now they are trying to see how. Anyway, there has been long conversation of how they can get him out of UK. So he's now a refugee. So the thing is, it's all about you. Anyway, I remember once Salongo talked about it. How do they call it? This one of where you just receive refugees as a group is
prima facie.
Okay, prima facie. Like there is a way where you just receive refugees because maybe there's an outbreak of war, like now here, like now in Ukraine, like now if we see the things that are happening in Eastern Congo, that can happen. But also it has to be, you have your own personal story. When you see in the definition of refugee, like they see a well-founded fear of persecution. So it's all about you, because even the whole country, not everyone has fled. It means you who has fled, what was the reason, you as a person? So that's it.
I think the reason matters also, because there are different reasons. It may not be war or any internal conflict that is happening in that particular area. I think we all know that example of Kakwenza
Lukalibasaija, a human rights activist in Uganda.
So for him, he also ran away to seek asylum somewhere. So if he's to process those papers and everything, he can possibly become a refugee. But his reasons, they're just political reasons. And then I think also this other guy who always brings out news about the government, claiming to be a person who knows the internal things of the government. Lumbuye. Yes, he can also have political issues. His personal political issues, yes, and so he can go to seek asylum somewhere and eventually he can become a refugee. It may not necessarily be conflicts, internal conflicts or anything like war, but you might also have those so-called personal political problems.
I understand, but why is it always about political issues? Why can't I face like personally hunger and I go to seek refugee somewhere else?
Once you want to be given that thing, like for you to be accepted, there are criteria put there, because there are many people who are facing like anger issues, and then if they are to be like, okay, in our criteria we shall also receive anger people, you know, so you find out that there will be many people in that country. That's why it has to be criteria. You know, everything is important, but then there are priorities, like those things of political, it's a priority, because if you're to be there you'll die. But anger issues, you know, somehow you can sort it out yourself.
Why does it always have to be political reasons? Because you being called a refugee, it means that you came to that country to seek protection. You get. So when you are being persecuted by people who are supposed to protect you, it means you no longer have protection in that country, which is different to me having an issue with Pacific. Pacific wants to kill me, but I have some conflicts with Pacific, you know, but
But when you say Pacific, Pacific means peaceful. How can you have a problem? How can peaceful kill you, Pacific?
We know a lot of innocent people in prisons. So, people are called innocent. So it's the same. If I have some issues with Pacific, and then maybe he's threatening my life, I can go to report that to the government or whoever who is in charge of that to protect me. You get? But now, the people who are supposed to protect you, they are the ones that are threatening your life. That's why you go somewhere else where you're going to get protection. That's why, like, it's always bounded to protection. Now, it comes back...
Now, Shalom, I want to... Now, when you say it's bounded to protection, does it really mean political? Because when you say you have a conflict with him, maybe it can be due to land, due to tribal disagreements, but it doesn't mean it has become political, right? Yes. So it may not be political. Like Kakwenza said, it was because of being tortured. So now that was because of human rights abuse. I think that's what was what Kakwenza fled from. It was not political. It's not because he was FDC, but it's because he was tortured and the marks could be seen, so he sought asylum. So I want us to come so much clearly on that. Is it really political?
Okay.
And there is mass fighting. I am fighting with her because they say where two elephants fight, the grass suffers, right? It is M20. It is Lendu fighting with Hema, but Bagagere flee. Don't you see Bagagere fleeing? Because they are being killed. They're in the middle. When they shoot a bullet, he doesn't know which tribe is that. Just comes if it's in the head, you are gone, right? When M23 were fighting with FRDC, the civilians were not in that war. But do you think they were not dying? They were dying, and when they fled, the border was open for them to get in Uganda. So I think let's add more arguments on that.
Okay, maybe it's the English. That was not clear, like, because everything we like to relate it to political, but it's not political literally. It always have something to do with the people who are supposed to protect us, and those people we know always, like they are bounded to government, you know. So that was my argument, is that when the people are supposed to protect you are no longer able to give you that protection, that's where now you have the founded fear of being persecuted. And of course there are people who are well placed to figure that out. So that was my argument, which takes me to the other one of hunger. Okay, now you're hungry. Okay, does it mean that where you are hungry, people, or maybe, okay, now we come back now to the government. People are supposed to give you that protection in terms of right to food or whatever, in terms of food. Yeah, it's a human right, because if you are to say that everyone who has a problem is going to be called a refugee, I think all of us, I don't know where we have been in that period of Corona, you get, because everywhere there was COVID, where were we supposed to go, you get. So it's all about, like, the people who are supposed to give you that protection you need, which always comes back to the government. Are they able to give you that protection? If they are not, now that's when you can be called a refugee. So in hunger, the government itself has said that we are able to manage this issue, you get. And even these viruses that come, they always say we are able to manage this issue. So I think that's why maybe we don't have refugees of hunger. And oh my God, hunger. Do you know that every second in the world a person dies because of hunger? So, like, now I can imagine if we had refugees of hunger. Hey, like here now in our region itself, in Kenya, Ethiopia and Somalia, every person is dying within 48 seconds because of hunger. So it's tricky. I think we need, anyway, I don't know. We only need to pray.
If I go back to that aspect of Kakwenza, of course, if you go to the first point, or the first reasons as to why Kakwenza was upheld, it was because he attacked the he attacked the president. Now, attacking the president, we put it under the political offenses. That is where we refer it to. So, having been apprehended by the police, then after they tortured him. Now, they found that they cannot actually get him out if they use the other means of political or attacking the president, because that is a political offense. So what happened? The human rights activists had to use that other window of human rights, and that is how they managed to get him out of Uganda. Because if they were going to use that other, I think they had refused to give him the visa to get out of the country. But because of the human rights, those human rights activists who came out, that is the other window they used to let him out, even without the visa. But in the first instance, it was a political offense of attacking the president. Yes, and that is why he was supposed to be apprehended and taken to court. But, of course, because of that torture, if they hadn't tortured him, he would be in jail. But because of that torture and everything, which is not acceptable, and these guys were not even willing to stop that, so this is when the human rights activists come in to rescue him.
So thank you so much for being a good participant. My name is Amudu Salongo Jean Pierre. I'm a member of Rendezvous, and all my guests were Rendezvous members. As we were discussing today, we were talking about the root causes of forced migration, and here the case study was the GRC, where we looked at what happens in the DRC, how many refugees are from the DRC, where are they, and how many refugees from other countries and the DRC. And interestingly, someone asked, why do people flee from DRC while others are seeking asylum in the DRC? Then we looked at the root causes of displacement. We looked at the numbers of displaced people internally and externally from the DRC. And I'm happy to tell you that next Friday we will be here again, and we will talk about the anthropology of forced migration. Please follow us on Twitter at Rendezvous YG, and mine is at Amudu Salongo. We are also on YouTube as Rendezvous Youth Group. Mine is Amudu Salongo Jean Pierre, and our Facebook is Rendezvous Youth Group. Mine is Jean Pierre Amudu Salongo. So don't hesitate to follow us and to share with everyone else. This was a community engagement as I do my studies in refugee and forced migration. Thank you. Until we meet again next time. Ciao.